Amen. So yesterday, I had the amazingly wonderful honor to officiate at the wedding of two friends, one of whom is critically ill and whose death is probably not far off. And the wedding was outside the doors of the hospital at St. Raphael's. There's a little kind of patch of park there outside the doors. And it was, as you may remember, under a brilliant blue sky. And there were just a couple of family members, the oncologist, and some nurses there in attendance as witnesses. Our friend who was ill, in her unquenchable extrovert self, decided that she wanted to say something before the ceremony began. And so she took a moment to say some words. And then, in this just holy and sacred moment, she turned to her two nephews who were there. They're 14 and 9, and she's very close to them, very close. I think the first time I met her, she showed me pictures of them as babies. She's very close to them. And she talked to them directly in this most tender, loving way. And she told them what she wanted them to know and to remember after she died. And I doubt those boys have ever heard such consequential words or such loving words in their young lives. And she told them, basically, she told them a lot of things, but one of the things I remember the most was that she told them she wanted them to know that even when she dies, her love will still be there, and she can feel them, or they can feel her, rather, and she's going to be there with them. And it was just such a beautiful moment that she could really say that so directly to them, and they could know how much she loves them, and that she could face that so directly and tell them that. Now, the reason I'm telling you this story is to set the stage for our gospel reading this morning. This gospel reading from John is part of what's called Jesus's farewell discourse. I don't know if you know the farewell discourse, but they're still in the upper room. It's the night before Jesus is going to be killed, and Jesus is telling his disciples what he wants them to remember when he dies. He wants these disciples to hear these words of love. And so these words are hugely consequential. I am the vine, he says. You are the branches. Those who abide in me and I in them bear much fruit. Apart from me, you can do nothing. Abide in me, Jesus says. So Jesus is about to die, and he wants his disciples to hear this. And so you know how important these words are. And their whole sermons, and I preached them myself, about how we work to abide in Jesus, what we have to do to abide in Jesus, to stay connected to Jesus and bear the fruit that's ours. This isn't that sermon. This sermon begins and ends with only this: Jesus is the vine, and we are already and always the branches. Now, this isn't something that we made to be true. So maybe if we can just somehow accept the truth of this gift of abiding, the rest will simply be as it's meant to be. Now stay with me here. Abiding, you see, that's why I love that word. Abiding isn't about work. It's not about doing something. It's about being. It's about who we are as people grounded in Jesus, attached to Jesus. You don't have to go out and work and labor and figure out what you have to do to abide. If you're doing that, you're taking all the focus out of abiding. There's something passive about being a branch, and that's okay. There's something kind of passive about abiding. And yet, consider this. Think about this. Branches do what they're made to do. They receive life and they give it. They receive life and they give it over and over again. They receive life and they give it. By simply abiding, branches are able to do what they are meant to do as long as they are connected to their source. Right? Branches do what they're meant to do as long as they're connected to their source. Now, obviously, this metaphor can only go so far for us as humans because we aren't really branches, because we have minds of our own. And that's a bit of a problem. We're quite capable of figuring out all by ourselves what's best for us. We think what's best for us, right? And we cut ourselves off from the source of life. Not just once, but sometimes, maybe several times a day or a week. And sometimes, totally unlike a branch, we forget the gift and the power of the vine into which we were born in the first place. We forget that. And when we forget that, we lose the ability to be who we were created to be. We lose the ability to bear fruit. So today, I want to simply stand still and remind us to receive the gift of Jesus's words for us right now. Right now. Abide in Jesus. And in doing this, and only this, maybe we can begin to come nearer to being who God intends us to be, bearing the fruit we're made to bear. If we can truly abide, stay near, stay connected, I believe that if we do that, we can even more fully receive the gift of life itself that's meant for all of us. By abiding in Jesus, and I've seen this in you, by abiding in Jesus, fruit has been born and will be born in you, and in me, and in all of us together in this small but mighty congregation. And no doubt a harvest more abundant than any we can ask for or imagine. And I'm wondering now if we would best be able to take in the truth of all this by stepping out into the world today, where God's good creation witnesses to this wonder over and over again. You know, I can look out my window right here and see some tulips, and I don't know, but it doesn't look like they're working awfully hard to be tulips, to bear those beautiful blossoms. They're abiding in the soil, doing what they're meant to do. Just as we are to abide in Jesus and be who we're meant to be and bear fruit as we are meant to bear it. And each of us knows how to abide. Each of us knows what enables us to abide. We know that. Abiding in Jesus. I don't know about you, but if I think about doing this and this and this and this, okay, I got to do that to abide. I got to do that to do what Jesus wants me to do. That really does kind of distract me from my relationship with Jesus. It kind of distracts me from prayer, from being with Jesus. Like, okay, Jesus, what do you want me to do? Tell me, just tell me. Okay, I don't know what you want, but I'm going to go do this anyway. Is this what you want? Okay. Abide. I can just feel it in my whole being to be connected, to breathe in that holy connection, to know that I am connected to Jesus and abide in him. May God give you the same. May you know the truth of Jesus's words today, the gift of abiding, of staying close, of receiving the gifts that are meant to be received, of bearing the fruit each of us is meant to bear. I came across this poem about being the vine, and I think it speaks to being attached and feeling this wonderful, holy energy coming through us, and how if we stay attached and stay connected to the source, which is Jesus, we will feel that sacred movement in us and bear fruit. So I close with this. How might it feel to be part of the vine? Not just to see the vineyard from afar, or even pluck the clusters or press the wine, but to be grafted in, to feel the stir of inward sap that rises from our root, Jesus, deep planted in the ground of love. To feel a leaf unfold, a tender shoot, as tendrils curled unfurl, as branches give a little to the swelling of the grape. In gradual perfection, round and full, to bear within oneself the joy and hope of God's good vintage till it's ripe and whole. What might it mean to bide and to abide in such rich love as makes the heart glad? May this blessing be yours, dear friends. Amen.